Jon, thank you so much for spending some time with me to talk about these management topics. Can you tell me a little bit about your team, how many people you directly and then indirectly manage, as well as what is the team set up?
So mortgage banking, and we're dispersed throughout the country. So from Florida to Texas, Minnesota, Pacific Northwest, throughout California, we've got locations throughout the country, all in brick and mortar offices throughout the country. Highly regulated industry, so you have to have brick and mortar. You've got to have licenses. Individuals all have to be licensed, and I have about just north of 200 employees.
Okay.
That roll up to me. So there's majority of that are salespeople. I'm over sales for our company, so majority of people that I oversee is salespeople, and then there's also a large portion of staff people that support the salespeople.
So what do you feel are the most important elements in developing effective teams and organizations?
So I would say, first of all, always keeping everybody in the know. Communication is huge. Always keeping everyone in the know without getting in their way. I've had good success without empowering others, always supporting their decisions. Sometimes I may not agree with a direction or a decision, but I'll always support it. I'll always back it. And whatever the outcome is, if it's right or wrong, I'll always back that decision. And then if it's, continually a wrong decision, then have a conversation. But empowering people is super important. Listening is big, and really listening. You can listen, but not really hear what someone's saying. And, that's big. So I think really listening, asking questions, not dominating a conversation when you're listening to somebody, not coach or teach or interject, but just really listen. And you can listen well by asking questions to really kind of read in between the lines. Sometimes people have something to say, but not really coming out and saying it. So I think listening is a huge part. Showing compassion to your folks and really understanding people, showing a personalization to folks, not just keeping everything business but make it personal. Get to know people on a personal level, and everybody has they're not just employees, they've got families, they've got issues, if you really get to know your people, they really get to know you as a person. I think we're all people with titles, managing other people, so never can lose that. I look at this, I look at what I do is almost an upside down pyramid. So the bigger your title, that's just, like I said, I oversee north of 200 people. That's who I work for. All those employees, I work for them. And so it's like an upside down pyramid. Bigger your title, that just means more people that you have, that you work for, that you support. And I think I've had really good success with that, where nobody feels that they work for me.
So when it comes to hiring, what qualities do you look for in individuals before you add them to the team?
I'm always very respectful of our culture. The company has a special culture built on some of the things I just said. So I do take that in consideration. I never first look at how big of a producer they are, how much income and volume they could bring to our company. I look at them as a person, if they fit our culture, if they would disrupt our culture, or if they would bring value to our culture. So I really get to know them first. When I'm having interviews or I go out and meet with people or recruit others, I never talk about the company. We just get to know each other as people, and do we have like mindsets, and do I feel they would be a good fit for the company? And then whatever part of the country that they're going to work out of, I make sure that who is overseeing that, whatever branch they would go into or whoever they would work for, I make sure they're a big part of the hiring process, that they have a decision that they know. And then behind the scenes, I'll always just find out about people. Our industry can be a small industry. Everybody kind of knows everybody. I make sure that there's a good reputation. They work well with others. If it's a loan officer, I make sure that they have a reputation of treating their staff well.
Mhm.
That they, they don't. Sometimes it's industry because of the money, and it comes with some egos,
Mhm.
and egos can get in the way of sometimes doing the right thing. So I make sure that they work well with others, that they respect others. That I think we're a company built on a lot of dignity and respect for each other.
Mhm.
Never lose sight of that.
Mhm. That's good. Has there been a specific person or people who inspired you to manage your employees the way you do? And what characteristics did that person display that you hope to replicate?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I've had two. Um, my dad was one big time. My dad was had a very high position in a big oil company, and I was very impressed. I remember when I was growing up, he had a retirement party, and he had I went to this party, and there was just a tidal wave of people that were coming up to me, just telling me what a wonderful leader he was, how he changed people's lives, how he and people that he didn't even know.
Mhm.
He didn't even know who some of these people were, because he had so many people that reported to him. But I had so many people say how your dad changed my life, how he was as a leader. Some people said I never even really spoke to your dad, but his presence, who he was, what he did for this company, he helped change our lives. And so I'd always would watch him around people and how he responded to people, and would always pick his brain, and just he's a huge influence to me on how I liked or try to emulate how he was. And then there's a guy named Jerry Baker, who was a CEO. He's retired now, CEO of First Horizon, First Bank of Tennessee. When I had a mortgage company, I sold my company to First Bank of Tennessee and First Horizon. He was a big part of that sale, but he was an amazing, amazing leader. Oversaw 5, 6, 7,000 people. But he would work really hard at getting to know everybody. He never walked into a branch or a situation and not know everybody. He would study before he would go into a branch, so he knew everybody. He would personalize his visits. It never was, oh, here's this big CEO coming in. It was just a person coming in just like them. And he did such a great job of personalizing himself with employees.
So when it comes to coaching, how do you go about coaching underperformers? And at what point do you know it's time to make a change?
Yeah, so a couple things with that. Sometimes you can have someone in a wrong position or a wrong spot, where they're struggling at what they're doing, but they're trying, and they're a hard worker. They're a good person. Their intentions are to do the right thing. Maybe they're just in the wrong position. And that's on me. I put them in the wrong position. So I try to find the right position for them. There's those that, I will give people the benefit of the doubt, hang in there with them as long as they're trying, as long as they're making traction. And I can see that movement, that traction, I'll hang in there with them. If they stop trying, if they just aren't getting forward traction and momentum because of just what the effort they're putting in, then I will have to make a hard decision.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. How do you ensure that your team has real effective conversation and does not just automatically agree with every idea that's proposed? How do you ensure that they have positive disagreements and debate every option tossed around by the group?
Yeah, that really makes a good culture by, I think, doing that correctly, because people have to be safe, like I said, in their environment, have to be safe to speak their mind, have to be safe to just disagree and not just always agree with what the top of the house is saying.
Yeah.
And so welcome debates, welcome opinions. We'll take someone else's opinion. We could be going down a path and have spent a lot of money and have spent a lot of time going down one path. But if somebody has an opinion about it and it makes sense, and we'll change gears quickly and go with what they have to say. And I think folks know that best idea wins. And that's kind of always been a philosophy that within our sales department, that it's the best idea when it doesn't have to be my idea, or it doesn't matter whose idea. And some of the best ideas have come from a lower level position within the company, because they know best. They're living it. And
Right.
I'll never discount that. If it's someone's living the world and we're talking about what they're doing, yeah, their opinion is super important. And people I feel that I've surrounded myself with feel safe about being candid, being direct, being honest. And if it's, sometimes I've had people just say that, how you're doing this, we just definitely don't agree with. And they feel that they're in a safe enough environment that they can say those things. And that's how you get better as a company. It can't be managing from 50,000 feet above.
Yeah, so like bringing the ivory tower, if you will, down to everyone else and letting them speak.
Yeah. And this industry, when I talked about some of the egos, like any industry, you got some egos, but it's we're in an industry that I think like I talked about this upside down pyramid, not just because of your title means you know everything. It's people have to feel that you're there, you're working for them and supporting them, and that this safe environment, this comfortable environment is super important. There's a lot of people, I think, in industries or jobs where they don't feel real safe. They feel if they were to say something, it's going to put them in jeopardy, or someone's going to hold that against them.
That's right. Yeah.
I would never tolerate that.
So when it comes to setting metrics for the individual and for the team, what does it look like to do that well, and when buy-in for those who will be responsible for the numbers?
So again, I think it's back to that communication piece. So as a company, everybody knows there's just no secrets. So that the company needs X amount of loans, X amount of volume to stay healthy. The corporate, to run this company, to run this machine, we have to do, here's our break even. Here's where we will lose. And none of that is a secret. Everyone will know that. And then what, each branch has they know what their break even numbers are, what their profitable numbers are. And it's not just numbers that get corporate rich and makes the company a lot of money. This is how it benefits everybody. So if we can do these numbers, this is going to be the benefit of that. These are the numbers a minimum that we just have to do to keep us healthy as a company. And so again, that's that I think it's that communication piece, but everybody knows. And then there's minimums that we set, like for each loan officer. Here's what it costs the company, because it's interesting. We're a lot of the loan officers are commission only. In their minds, I'm commission only if it doesn't cost to have me as an employee. But it does. There is a cost for every employee. Of course. And they know that. They know what the cost is for each employee. There's a minimum set. You have to at least do this amount of volume to justify what the company has to pay to have you as an employee. And then each branch, they have their minimums that are set. And it's if they can't hit their minimums, and there's always a conversation of what we can do to help you get to those minimums, what we can help you to get to that next level. But it's definitely communication on what keeps everything healthy, what keeps the company going, what the national averages are, what all the everyone knows what each company in the markets, or all the different competitors in the different markets, what they're doing, where we stack up with them. Are we above the curve? Are we just hanging right with everybody?
In your experience, how have you handled unethical acts by an employee or team member? How would you handle an unethical act by a superior?
So kind of a zero tolerance level for anything unethical, any kind of fraud. We're very regulated, and it puts all of us at risk.
Yeah.
If there is an issue, I've had some people just make poor decisions. There's just zero tolerance. They know there's never something done that the person didn't know that was wrong. Because of communicating that there's just certain things we can't do in this industry.
Right. Yeah.
We're so highly regulated. Everyone's licensed. and what the outcome will be if there's certain things we do. So they know that this will cost you your job if that's done.